Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro. We're looking at a full moon in the sign of Gemini, and it's occurring December 7th, 2022 at 11:08 p.m. Eastern Time. The energy tomorrow on the 8th will be pretty much the same, and for some people that full moon arrives on the 8th, so I will only be posting a forecast for today and tomorrow and skipping a separate one for tomorrow. Let's take a look at what I have written. Full moon in Gemini, Wednesday, December 7th and Thursday, the 8th, awakens you to the realization that it will take more than wishful thinking or the repetition of affirmations to manifest your dreams, as the moon conjunct Mars retrograde in Gemini forms a mutable T-square with the Sun in Sagittarius and Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Pisces, as well as a trine aspect with Saturn in Aquarius, which in turn is sextile to the Sun. To improve or progress, you must ask the questions, which will lead you to the answers, and take action. If you are not happy with your present circumstances, look within, and you will gain a greater understanding of how your persistent thoughts, feelings, and beliefs of the past contributed to your current situation. With the Sun in Sagittarius quincunx to Uranus retrograde conjunct the North Node in Taurus, and Venus in Sagittarius conjunct Mercury in Capricorn forming a sesquisquare to Uranus North Node, you may be feeling an unconscious but irresistible pull towards someone or something unobtainable in your past. Any change you make now, even if it is for the better, will come with a bittersweet feeling over the path you leave behind, some uncertainty over future happiness and security, and possible resistance from others who may see your growth as their potential loss. If you believe you are aligned with your inner truth and purpose, are equally grateful for both the challenges and the opportunities in your life, and are willing to work hard, you can make substantial progress toward improvement on the material, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. Perhaps you lack the knowledge, maturity, or resources to pursue a certain plan in your past. Now you may be older and wiser, or the timing is better for you to try again and succeed. Let's take a look at how the planets are looking right now and what those aspect patterns are doing. We have two major points that are standing out right now, to me even a bit more than this Moon-Mars conjunction in Gemini opposing the Sun in Sagittarius. Actually, it's the 90-degree angle there of that T-square with Jupiter conjunct Neptune and Jupiter at that final degree of Pisces, making something feel extremely important, like pressure being brought to bear. And in some ways, the timelines are going off in different directions here. There's an expansion and seeking outward. At the same time, we have a turning inward, that you can't have one without the other. They are connected. And then we have a lot of spiritual energy going on here, along with the questioning and exploratory energy of Gemini and Sagittarius. And some of this can be fantastical, imaginary, not grounded in reality, but we have very anchoring Saturn, the planet of being realistic and serious and making things real, also playing an important role in the sky right now as it looks toward the future in that sign of Aquarius, and it's squaring Aquarius's ruler, Uranus, in a destiny determining way of thinking about the future, where again we may be looking backwards because of that retrograde, and we have Mars retrograde. So we've got some backward and forward energy going on at the same time, and the Uranian energy with the feeling of fate, destiny, or karma, life purpose, is all tied in right now with Saturn, with Mercury and Venus, and with the Sun. So we're creating as we go along, but we're also very curious. We're staying flexible and open as we have that T-square, which can make you vacillate back and forth between one thing or another. Yet you probably will be deciding a path while you have the pressure from that square between Saturn and Uranus, as well as the supportive trine and sextile, and the fact that we have Mercury done in Sagittarius and now moving into Capricorn, and that is a cardinal earth sign that wants to have a goal or something to be moving toward in terms of eventual success. So the feeling of time going by very quickly or running out of time is present right now, but the looking back at the past and the history and what's happened before is an important part of creating what you're going to manifest in the future or attract to you. Awareness is key. We do have Chiron in Aries. That's also retrograde. I think overall there's a thrust for self-improvement and greater understanding, a desire to find your place right now in terms of relationships, communication, looking for a place where you feel you can stay for a while and commit to doing the work in a supportive environment. But with Neptune and Jupiter under some duress, especially with the T-square and then the square they are making to Mercury and Venus, you may have to make the best of what you have. You may also have to come to peace with the things that you cannot control or change, and simply work on controlling your own consciousness, your own awareness, your own attitude, feelings, thoughts, behavior is going to have a greater impact upon you than attempting to micromanage other people and change the situation or circumstances around you. It's really by having greater control over yourself that you'll see the picture outside of you begin to change. So the time spent in meditation, you may find that you find your true values. We've got that Taurus energy, which is value oriented, in that conjunction with the North Node and this quincunx there to the Sun. If you're seeking within, you might be surprised by what you find. You might discover that something that you thought you really loved or was good at or wanted, maybe you don't really anymore. Maybe it's not really where you are going to be headed in the future. Maybe you were simply liking those things or on that path because of the influence of somebody else. The should energy that comes from Saturn squaring Uranus, you might realize, oh, I was just doing this because somebody told me I should, not because you really want to or because it feels like the right thing for you. So knowledge of yourself is an important thing. And as you look inside, you might be surprised by what you find there. We are constantly a work in progress. Nobody is ever fully complete or perfect. And growth and change are just the constants in life. And you might find that you have new interests. Maybe you will discover, because of these retrograde planets, that there was something that you dreamed of doing at one point in time. And then you said, no, I can't do that. Or society told you you couldn't do it, or your parents, or your partner, or whatever. And now perhaps the time is right to put your attention upon it and put your effort and energy into it, follow through, take the action, with a great deal of the focus on the thinking, planning, dreaming, sharing of those plans and dreams with this mutable T-square, do be careful of who you are sharing your dreams with. Only share your dreams with those you can trust, who you know will support you. But also don't be surprised, as I mentioned in the forecast, if some people don't want to see you change. They're afraid that the person they know won't be there anymore. So that's what's going on with the full moon. And hopefully it's going to lead you to something better if you put your energy into it and make use of it. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. We round up to 17 degrees because I think it's 16 degrees 2 minutes or a couple of minutes after. It does refer back to the 16th degree as we read in the 17th. The head of a robust youth changes into that of a sure thinker. Keynote: the transformation of physical vitality into the power to build concepts and intellectual formulations through which knowledge can be transferred. Physical vitality, we have the moon conjunct Mars today, which is a planet of physicality and action. And we do have the youthful energy of Gemini opposing the moon in Sagittarius, which becomes the wise sage after the gathering of information and experience over time. And Gemini rules the third house, and the third house has to do with imagination, communication, formative ideas. Sagittarius rules the ninth house, and that is the higher education, the foreign travel, people from other walks of life, other backgrounds or beliefs. So they're similar houses, similar issues or interests between Gemini and Sagittarius. They are both being affected by the Piscean energy right now of inspiration, beauty, healing, inspiration with growth-oriented planets. Sagittarius's ruler is conjunct Neptune right now. So growth is going to be an important focus, even if it seems like you don't know which direction you're headed in clearly. Moving forward, even if you move in spirals or bounce from one thing to another, is important. While in the preceding symbol we see the explosive release of impulses generated by a new realization of what is right and wrong, the woman way controlled by feelings, now we have a picture of a process of quiet and steady metamorphosis of biological energy into mind power, which can be seen symbolically as the man way. So I don't know why this has been gendered this way, and it may be a bit outdated, but I'm just reading what was written quite a long time ago. The symbolism may seem old-fashioned today, but the two contrasting approaches to communication of new experiences remain evident, however one wishes to symbolize them. This second stage of the 16th sequence, as is nearly always the case, presents a contrast with the first stage. What we see pictured is the transformation of emotions into mind, of instincts into thoughts, a process of mental metamorphosis. Now that word there is interesting because Pisces rules the 12th house, which I often equate with going into a cocoon where the caterpillar goes into that cocoon and then emerges as a butterfly, as something new after it goes through its internal process and goes through the metamorphosis and comes out into the first house following the 12th. So we have some of that metamorphosis energy going on with Pisces involved in the mutable T-square right now with that Gemini and Sagittarius energy. And the instinctual energy, a lot of that is being pulled from Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth and it's very sensual. How does something look, sound, smell, feel, taste? Uh, it opposes Scorpio, and Scorpio is deeply instinctual. And we do have, I don't have it toggled on right here, but the South Node sits opposite the North Node at all times. And we would be feeling that South Node energy as well. I think that's all that I'm getting out of this right now. I would also advise you to double check all your travel plans and expect that you may have what feels a bit like Mercury retrograde going on right now. Some of it may be silly, but other things may be about safety, because we've got some of the humor in here with Mercury and Venus squaring Neptune and Jupiter, where it can literally be humorous or silly, but we have the Sun and the Moon in opposition with Mars, and Mars and the Moon in turn squaring Neptune and Jupiter. This gives you some protection, but it's still telling you not to be a fool, you know. Double check things before you head out the door, and make sure your vehicle is safe. Make sure you have contingency plans for things. Follow up, follow through, pay attention. That is one thing that a mutable T-square can bring about, is distraction. Use the Saturn energy to have some mental discipline, and maybe make a more structured plan for your time, so that you can indulge in your downtime and escapism, fantasy, rest and retreat, and then you can be on task when you need to be, if you have a plan to follow and a schedule to follow. And then Saturn can do its best work for you if you give it the time to do so. All right, stay safe, and I will be back again in 2 weeks when we're looking at a new moon.